Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace. It is lovely to have you here. My favourite book of last year and one of my favourite books of all time was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book hit me so hard. I have never felt more seen by a book, and I really didn't go into it expecting for it to have the emotional impact on me that it did. The only other Emily Henry book that I read before this one was Beach Read, which I really enjoyed, but it was mostly just a fun time for me. This one was emotionally devastating, which is why I am both very excited and very nervous to say that today I will be reading Emily Henry's new book, Funny Story. If you don't know, Emily Henry is a very successful romance writer, but her brand of romance is a little bit more towards the general fiction side of things. She often adds in other plot lines and explores characters' complexities and traumas alongside the main romance plot. When I say this, I don't mean to say at all that her books are better than other romance books that are just a bit more fluffy. They do different things, and for me, Emily Henry just hits different. I still need to read two of her other books, People We Meet on Vacation, or You and Me on Vacation, depending on where you're from, and Book Lovers, which I've heard really good things about. But seeing as this one just came out, I really thought it would be fun to read the new one that's being hyped up at the moment and see what the fuss is about. I am very unsure how rough my emotional state is gonna get during this vlog. When I read Happy Place, I cried the most I have probably ever cried in my life. I genuinely don't think anything else has ever made me cry as much as that book did. I would be surprised if Funny Story managed to hit me quite as hard, just because the specific themes that were explored in Happy Place really hit home for me and were really relatable to where I am in my life at the moment. And I don't know if that will be recreated with different characters, but I'll probably still cry, let's be real. I'm gonna do my best not to give any spoilers, but if I do at any point, I will warn you beforehand so you can skip ahead if you don't want to know anything. The main premise of this book is that the main character, Daphne, was about to get married to her fiancé Peter until he left her for his childhood best friend. Now, Daphne, having nowhere to go, decides that while she's figuring things out, she'll move in with the best friend's ex-boyfriend. So both of them have recently been pretty brutally dumped and are forced into this apartment together because they don't really have anywhere else to go. But their shared heartbreak leads them to hatch a plan together that maybe they can post some misleading photos of their adventures together and get back both of their exes. And of course, things spiral from there. I think I'm gonna listen to the audiobook for this one because I've listened to the audiobook both for Happy Place and Beach Read, and I really like the way that they were narrated. But because I have the physical book as well, I might follow along in here. Oh, also, I tried to dress similarly to the way that Daphne dresses on the American cover. Ignore my laundry, but I don't have any red trousers, so red dungarees it is. And I kind of ended up looking a bit like Winnie the Pooh. But I'm not mad about it. So without further ado, let's jump in to Funny Story. I'm about 50 pages in. It's really interesting to have a love interest who's not instantly really attractive. The first time we meet Miles, he is like hotboxing his room, it stinks of weed, and he's blasting Bridget Jones's Diary really loud on the TV. And it's just fun to break away from that trope of the love interest being immediately really hot when you meet them, because situationally it makes total sense why he's acting this way. He's just had his heart broken, but it means that the two main characters really don't seem that compatible to begin with. Also, it's really funny reading about a librarian when I am one myself. I think Daphne has a slightly idealized version of my job, but there are moments that I relate to, definitely, so it's fun to see that. I'm really enjoying Mars' sense of humor. Daphne is a bit of a mess because she's an awkward little introvert, which again, not relatable content, but Mars is really funny. So I'm having fun so far. The exes are psychotic, absolutely unhinged. They do something early on in the story that is just such a wild way to treat your exes, and they're both nice in the most frustrating way, in that they both clearly can't cope with the idea that someone might not like them, even though they have treated Miles and Daphne horribly. They keep acting as if they're the good guys, and I'm really relating to the rage that Daphne is feeling for them. So far so good. I just made myself a little jasmine latte that Chris's sister brought back from Singapore because they live over there, and it tastes kind of like a bubble tea coffee. It's really nice. In my little Stardew Valley mug. So good vibes all around. I'm gonna keep reading now. They keep talking about wine in so much detail and it's making me really want some, but it is not even noon yet, so maybe later. Also, we have been introduced to the required friend of this book, and I love her already so much. She is wonderful. There's something about the way that Emily Henry writes friendships that really gets to me, especially the struggles that her main characters often have with friendships, with either established ones or, in this case, making friends. Because Daphne is such a shy, guarded person, she really struggles to trust people, and we can see her beginning to open up to this budding friendship, but it doesn't come naturally to her at all, and the way that these two people are connecting despite her issues just, oh, it warms my heart. Also, this one line just really made me laugh. Ashley, the friend, was telling Daphne an embarrassing story about herself, and Daphne just replied with, "Oh my god, so you're Dante, you went all the way to the ninth circle of the Inferno." I just wish that I had the wit of Emily Henry characters. So, Dungeons and Dragons has now been mentioned twice in this book, and I'm only on page 102. But it was just mentioned as a Dungeons and Dragons tournament, and Miss Henry, I love you, but that is not a thing. I am on page 177, which is, I think, nearly halfway. They were just at a bar that was in a barn and had a goat pen, which is my kind of place. I'm having fun. I don't know if this is going to be as emotionally impactful for me. I think one of the things about Happy Place was that it was already an established relationship and they were trying to figure out if they could salvage it. Whereas this, both of them have just gotten out of long-term relationships and know that it probably isn't a good idea to actually start going out with someone else, even though they're playing around with making their exes believe that they might be together. And the tension is very much there. They're clearly both attracted to each other and probably have feelings for each other, but both us as the audience and the characters know that it probably wouldn't be healthy to jump into a relationship this fast. And we obviously don't want this to just be a rebound. We want this to work out between the two of them. So it's kind of strange holding those two things at once, because usually when you're reading a romance book, you're just itching for them to be together. And I am, but I'm also like, is this healthy? So I don't know how I'll feel by the end of the book. I assume there will be some more conflict to get through before they figure out that they are compatible as a couple. So far, I think this isn't hitting my sore spots in the same way, but that does not at all mean it's a bad book. I'm having a very fun time. It's just doing a different thing for me than Happy Place was, whereas that was an emotional gut punch. This is a fun summer romance with a little revenge story in there and some great side characters as well. But who knows, maybe the second half will make me sob. There is still a chance. Okay, we are 244 pages in and I finally caved and got myself a glass of wine. Or port, I should say, which is why it's so small. But the glass even matches the colour scheme, which is bringing me joy. Cheers. We've had our classic big emotional reveal of a bit of a character's backstory that is just a classic Emily Henry maneuver. I think I'm beginning to realise how much of my enjoyment of a book or connection to it comes from my personal experiences and how much I can relate to the characters, because I can definitely see someone engaging with this in the way that I engaged with Happy Place. If you can relate to the characters' experiences, but they're not really something that I have gone through. And I wonder if my incredibly emotional read through of Happy Place has kind of ruined me for other Emily Henry books. I'm enjoying this, don't get me wrong, I'm having a fun time and I like the characters and their relationship, but nothing is gonna bring me that level of impact, I don't think. I am awful at predicting what books I am going to love and predicting what might be a 5-star for me, because I only really rate favorite books 5 stars, and I only really have favorite books when they have touched me at the right moment in time. I've read them in the perfect headspace where they were going to connect with who I was in that moment. So I'm very fussy and this isn't hitting those things, which it doesn't need to. That's not at all a fault of the book. It just means that I personally am not quite connecting with it on as deep a level, but I'm still having a very good time. They also just had a cute moment where they mentioned some characters from Beach Read. They went to a little bookstore that is mentioned in Beach Read, and it's always fun when the worlds of these different books link together in small little ways. I don't know, I'm just not fully attached. I think maybe I just have too high standards for Emily Henry now, and that's not realistic. Happy Place, it was as if she had written it specifically for me. It felt tailored to my emotional issues, and that's not something you can expect from an author, especially when they don't know you exist. But anyway, we are kind of in the last third of the book. I'm enjoying myself. No tears have been shed, and I am not sure if they will, but it ain't over until it's over, so we'll see. I'm now on page 289, so I'm kind of near the end. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this today like I was hoping I would, because we're going to some friends tonight. So I will have to give you my final thoughts tomorrow, I think. I think I'm a little bit sad that I'm not as obsessed with this book as I hoped I might be, but I think my expectations were just unrealistic. It's really making me crave that feeling of stumbling across a book that just unlocks something inside of you. But like I said, I'm just so awful at predicting what those books are going to be. I've thought about doing one of those videos that's like you read until you hit a 5-star book, but I think it would probably take me like a year. I found 2 new favorite books last year, but I don't think I found any the year before. This is making me really want to reread Happy Place, definitely. And I am enjoying it, I just set my expectations too high. I don't think there's quite as much depth to the relationship between these 2 characters, just because they didn't know each other at the start of the book and the timeline isn't that long. It is a lovely relationship, but it's very much a budding relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it means that I'm not quite as invested in the long term. I can see that this relationship could work, but I'm not set on the idea that it needs to. But I think I will give you another update when I'm done now, probably, unless anything particularly interesting happens. So we'll see what my final thoughts are in the morning. Hello, welcome to the next day. I have now finished Funny Story by Emily Henry. This was Mixed. I think partly my expectations were set a little bit too high by Happy Place just because that was the perfect concoction for me, and the odds of that happening twice are pretty low. I did enjoy this. This was fun. It was an enjoyable read, and there was the classic Emily Henry tension and chemistry in there between the two main characters. But I will say I wasn't as invested in them as I wanted to be. Something about it just felt shorter to me, and like we didn't know them as well as I wanted to. I honestly ended up caring a bit more, I think, about the friendship that develops in here. There are several friendships, but there's one new friend that Daphne makes. I found the way that their relationship develops really interesting and heartwarming, and it hits some bumps along the way, and that felt a lot more real to me, and I felt more connected to it. I think Emily Henry is just so good at writing friendships that feel real and flawed, where people mess up because they're human but learn to move past it and figure out how to work with their friendship in the most healthy way. I think that this is currently at the bottom of my Emily Henry ranking. It goes Happy Place right up top, and then a bit of a jump down to Beach Read, and then Funny Story. But I still had a very fun time, and I would recommend you give it a go, especially if you have enjoyed Emily Henry books before. And I will definitely be reading the rest of her catalogue still. I'm very interested to see, especially if I like book lovers, where that ends up on my ranking. Thank you so much for watching. It has been lovely to hang out with you while I read this book, and there were no tears this time around, which is wild. Please let me know what you thought of this one. I would love to hear how this one hit for you, if it was something that you related to a bit more than I did, or if you felt similarly to me and this maybe didn't quite connect with you in the way that some of her other books have. Please let me know what you thought. Also, just a note, I finally made myself an Instagram to go alongside this account, so if you would like to see a lot of bookish and cozy content, then you can follow me here. I'll pop it down in the description as well. But either way, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.